Populism is a major factor and a major threat to European Union values and of course to further integration of the Union. And it's very interesting that it has struck mostly those countries in Eastern and Central Europe that have come out of communism and which have benefited from the EU, but they have also gone through a very harsh transition period. And there are all sorts of explanations to the fact that populist leaders have used democratic institutions to actually get elected and take advantage of the EU. In other countries like Italy or indeed Great Britain of all places, populism has also used democratic institutions. So populism has become a word that is very vague, you know, with many different meanings to the word. And I think that demagogues, sovereignists, there's a way probably to have a more precise vocabulary. But it's interesting also that they don't necessarily win. And what has happened in Italy, in particular, is very interesting because Italian institutions have indeed resisted Mr. Salvini's tricks, and which doesn't mean that he's out of the political spectrum. But it means that democratic institutions can indeed hold up. There was a very interesting discussion about the way European institutions, and particularly the Council, which regroups the heads of states and governments, the way it is perceived by public opinion all over the 28 or 27 member states. And it's true that most of the time our national politicians always take credit for what's happening in Brussels or elsewhere. They give press conferences only to their national journalists, saying, you know, I managed to do this or that, which means that in the long run, there's no explanation of institutions which are supposed to work for consensus, for the common good. So, as each national leader tends to take advantage and tries to explain to his or her own public opinion that, you know, it's thanks to him or her, it is true that people at large have a very shallow understanding of the way these institutions work. So I think that was interesting, and it always gets back to the fact that there's need to be more explanation, more media exposure, more transparency when it comes to the workings, which are complex, of our European institutions.